The film begins with a scene in 1864, where Tsushima family intend to execute a young man named Kenshin. After carrying out a long interrogation and torturing, one of the samurai approaches him to intimidate. At that moment, he used the opportunity to bite the samurai's ears and started to put up a fight. He then took a sword using his mouth and used the sword to slaughter all the samurai in the house. He has very fast movements and can slaughter the samurai members in the room one by one. Not long after, a samurai commander named Hajime Saito and a samurai police force came and witnessed all of Tsushima's family members who had been killed tragically. They believe that this massacre is related to the status of the Tsushima family, which is a loyal supporter of the shogun group. That night, Kenshin again killed several samurai supporting the shogun's party. In a matter of seconds, he could easily overthrow the samurai one by one, leaving only one young samurai named Kiyosato who begged to live. He didn't give up, because he still had someone he loved and wanted to protect. But Kenshin showed no mercy and attacked him several times. Then he tried to get up for the last time and scratched a wound on Kenshin's face. The next day, Kenshin saw Kiyosato's fiancée crying, but he did not see the young woman's face. Then he returned to the Kohagiya Inn, an inn where the rebels were staying, and went to meet their leader, Katsura Kogoro, to report on the massacre of the Tsushima family the night before. Upon hearing this, Katsura asked Kenshin always to be careful and alert to the presence of the Shinsengumi police. The scene shifts to 1 year earlier, when Kenshin and the youths were gathered by the Choshu group to become its members. At that time, the Choshu group had recruited the best samurai candidates to become part of their army. Kenshin, who had just joined that day, was challenged by a Chosu member to fight in a one-on-one duel. Initially, Kenshin refused to fight because he did not want to fight against his own allies. But then the Chosu group leader, Shinsaku, asked him to show his abilities. After Shinsaku gave Kenshin a sword, he could easily strip the samurai naked and humiliate himself in front of everyone. Shinsaku seemed amazed by Kenshin's abilities and fast movements that Kenshin had. Katsura felt interested in his abilities. Since then, Kenshin has become one of the most reliable members. Katsura often assigns him to do assassinations. However, he realized that Kenshin still had a pure heart, even though he had killed many people. Back to the present, Kenshin is visiting the tavern to entertain himself by drinking sake. That night, he remembered Kiyosato, the samurai he had killed the other day, as if the young man had left a deeper impression than his other victims. Not long after, a beautiful young girl came to the shop and sat at the same table as Kenshin. Two slightly drunk men felt attracted by the girl's beauty and started to tease her in front of him. Annoyed by their presence, he pushed them away and warned them to leave the tavern. But instead of leaving the place, the two men instead waited for Kenshin outside the tavern and intended to kill him. Kenshin, who noticed the man's presence, warned them to go for their lives, but they ignored the warning. A masked samurai suddenly attacks them until they are killed and attacks him directly. Kenshin managed to avoid the attack and counterattacked until the mysterious samurai was killed. The murder incident was accidentally witnessed by a beautiful young girl Kenshin had previously helped, and the girl fainted with a kimono covered in blood. Kenshin was forced to take the girl to the Kohagiya Inn so that the girl could get treatment and get enough rest. The next morning, when Kenshin checked his room, he found that the girl had woken up and had helped with some household chores at the inn. Then she introduced herself as Tomoe Yukishiro and intended to work at the inn. At first, he objected to her presence and asked her to return home. She said that she had no family or home to return to. Before leaving him, Tomoe had asked Kenshin whether he could kill her if she drew her sword to him. Hearing that, Kenshin still couldn't answer. Katsura had received news about the attack that was experienced by Kenshin around the tavern and suspected that there was a traitor in their group. Kenshin returned to carry out his duties to massacre all members of the shogun's supporters who were holding a meeting somewhere. Meanwhile, Tomoe secretly writes her feelings into a diary every night. At midnight, when Kenshin was washing himself to clean the blood on his hands, Tomoe slowly approached him and gave him a small towel. In the following days, Tomoe began to actively pay more attention to Kenshin. As a result, the people at the inn began to think of them as husband and wife because of their closeness. But Katsura, feeling a little suspicious, began investigating Tomoe to find out if she was a spy for the enemy. But the suspicions disappeared because they did not find any evidence about her. That day, a sword craftsman named Arai Shaku gave one of his best swords for Kenshin. The next day, Tomoe takes Kenshin to a festival downtown and sees a children's play on a stage. On that occasion, she asked him whether he would continue sacrificing many people's lives to reach his goal. Kenshin replied that he would do anything to achieve a new, more peaceful era in the country. On the other hand, the Shinsengumi police managed to arrest a member of the Choshu rebel group and obtained information that the group planned to burn down the palace and take the emperor to Choshu territory. Knowing this, Shinsengumi police commander ordered his troops to capture all members of the Choshu rebel group. At the same time, Kenshin was suddenly surprised by the arrival of a Chosu member named Izuka, who informed him about the Shinsengumi troops who were about to attack the base where the rebels were gathering. Hearing this, Kenshin ran to headquarters to help the Chosu rebel group against the Shinsengumi troops. Shinsengumi troops had already arrived at the headquarters and attacked all the rebel members. The big battle was fierce, causing many victims to fall. Even the rebel members who tried to escape from that place were caught by a samurai named Soji Okita, captain of the Shinsengumi. When Soji was about to kill the member of Chosu's group, Kenshin, who had just arrived at the scene, stopped him. The duel between them had begun. It was fierce and very tense. But in the end, Kenshin managed to defeat Soji. Saito arrives with his troops and prepares to attack Kenshin. But when the fight was about to start, another member of Chosu's group came and asked Kenshin to leave that place. That night, a large-scale battle forces occurred, resulting in the burning of most of the city. Since the incident in Ikadaya, more and more Shinsengumi troops have roamed the city center and forced the rebel groups to flee and hide. This incident made most of the rebel members even more vigilant, including Kenshin and the rest of the Chosu group. Even that night, when Tomoe was about to cover Kenshin, who accidentally fell asleep, Kenshin, shocked, suddenly woke up and almost killed her. When he realized that the person next to him was Tomoe, he apologized to her. He answered Tomoe's question some time ago that he would never kill her, even if she drew a sword in front of him. Not long after, Saito and the Shinsengumi troops came to the inn and intended to capture the remaining rebels. Then Kenshin took Tomoe away from that place and ran away from the pursuit of the Shinsengumi troops. The next morning, Kenshin met Katsura hiding in a shop. He asked Kenshin to hide in a secluded area until the situation became more secure. Then he asked Tomoe to live with Kenshin and pretend to be Kenshin's wife while hiding somewhere else. After he left, Kenshin sincerely invited Tomoe to live with him. After walking quite far from the urban area, Kenshin invited Tomoe to live together in a small house outside Kyoto. Every day, Kenshin works as a farmer while Tomoe helps him complete other jobs. Their relationship slowly gets closer, like lovers living in peace. One day, Kenshin revealed that while living with Tomoe, he felt happiness like he had never felt before. A few days later, Izuka approached the two of them and gave them some money so they could continue living. After giving supplies to Kenshin, Izuka went somewhere, and at that time, a Chosu member named Katagai was secretly following him from behind. It turns out that all this time, Izuka has betrayed the Chosu group and conspired with the Yamanobu group, who are loyal supporters of the Shogun party. He then gave information to Yamanobu's leader, Tatsumi. Katagai, who knew that Izuka was a traitor, intended to report this to Katsura, but one of the Yamanobu members caught him first and killed him. After Izuka finds out about Katagai secretly following him to the base, he becomes concerned that the other Chosu members know about their group. Soon after, Tatsumi ordered his youngest member, Enishi, to go to Kenshin's place and meet Tomoe. The next morning, Enishi arrived at Kenshin's place and met Tomoe, his older sister. He tells her he wants to help Tomoe get revenge on Kenshin. At the same time, Kenshin, who had just returned from the market, saw Enishi, who had just left his house, followed by Tomoe, who told him that Enishi was her younger brother. That afternoon, Tomoe finally told Kenshin everything about herself and her family. Her mother had died when Enishi was born. As for Tomoe herself, she was engaged to her childhood friend who had become a samurai, but he died a few days before they were married. Seeing the sadness on Tomoe's face, Kenshin hugged and tried to calm her. He promises that when the new era comes, he will not kill anyone anymore and will try to make her happy for the rest of his life. The next morning, Tomoe wrote down her feelings on the last page of her diary and took a sword before she finally went to meet her brother at Yaminobu headquarters. It turns out that Yaminobu's group has been using her to get close to Kenshin and discover his weaknesses so they can kill him easily. When Tomoe arrives at Yaminobu's headquarters to share information about Kenshin, she is surprised that she only finds Tatsumi alone. It turns out that he has sent his troops to several points to trap Kenshin and kill him without her knowing. Tatsumi suspects that Tomoe has been giving false information about Kenshin because she has fallen in love with him. On the other hand, Kenshin, who had just woken up from his sleep, found that Tomoe had left the house and intended to look for her in the forest. Not long after that, Izuka came up to him and told him that Tomoe was actually a spy sent by the enemy to spy on him. Izuka even convinced Kenshin to read Tomoe's diary to prove his claims about her being a spy were true. After reading her diary, Kenshin finally knew that the young samurai who once gave his face a scar was Tomoe's fiancé, Kiyosato. Knowing this, he felt very disappointed because the girl he loved so much only approached him to take revenge for her fiancé's death. At the same time, Tomoe finally realizes that she is only being used by Yamanobu's group to kill Kenshin. As a result, Tomoe, who felt angry, attacked Tatsumi with a small sword. But he can easily block her attacks and knock her down with one strike. In the middle of Kenshin's trip to a temple, he was suddenly attacked by a member of Yaminobu's group named Nakajo, with several arrows and traps they had prepared. When Nakajo thought Kenshin had been seriously injured, he dared to directly approach Kenshin to kill him. But Kenshin quickly used the opportunity to slash his hand and make Nakajo lose a lot of blood. Yaminobu members named Suita and Muryoi attacked Kenshin with sword slashes from all directions, so he had difficulty focusing his attacks. But even though he fought two people at once, he again managed to kill them and forced them to blow themselves up. As a result of the explosion, Kenshin had impaired vision and was injured so badly that he had to use his sword sheath as a cane to walk. After Tatsumi discovers his army has been defeated, he fights Kenshin. Then, he took out his sword and prepared to kill Kenshin. But Kenshin still continued to fight back and tried to attack Tatsumi. At the same time, Tomoe, previously tortured by Tatsumi, tries to get up and help Kenshin. In the end, when Tatsumi is about to make the final attack on Kenshin, he deliberately lets the attack hit his shoulder to find out where Tatsumi is. It was at that moment that Kenshin launched a counterattack toward Tatsumi and accidentally slashed Tomoe, who was trying to help him. As a result, Tatsumi died by Kenshin's sword along with Tomoe. When Kenshin's vision recovered, he found Tomoe lying helplessly in front of him with a severe sword wound. Before she breathed her last, Tomoe looked at him and apologized to him while giving him a scratch on his face as a remembrance. Then Kenshin finally had to accept that the girl he loved had to die in his arms. A few days, Katsura came to his house to tell them that the real spy in their group was Izuka, and at that time he had sent a swordsman to hunt down Izuka. Hearing this, Kenshin said that he would continue to fight until their goals were achieved and a new era emerged in their land. He said that he would never use his sword again once they achieved that goal. After Katsura left, Kenshin returned to reading Tomoe's diary and found out about her true feelings. He finally discovered that even though Tomoe initially wanted to kill him, but her feelings changed over time, and she started to love him. After reading the entire diary, Kenshin left and set fire to the house and her lifeless body.